Mega Man 9, in retrospect, is a prime example of what's old is new, and it's a game I feel doesn't get the credit it deserves. Its accomplishments forgotten with the passage of time. After all, it's already been 16 years. Yeah, I remember the day when it was announced, and hot damn was I hyped. Finally, after more than a decade, a new classic entry was set to arrive. And there was nothing like seeing those Wii channels light up with a new Mega Man game among them. But did 9 live up to the hype? And what made it such an important game? Not just for the series, but the entire industry. Long story short, no major publisher or developer was open to the idea of putting out a brand new game in a retro style. Even Capcom's own management was insistent that Mega Man 9 be 3D and with the times. However, the Blue Bomber's latest 8-bit outing went on to show the world you can make a brand new old school game. Mega Man 9 provided the fuel that essentially jump-started the faux retro and indie game scene, making one thing absolutely clear. At the end of the day, it's all about the gameplay. The gameplay of Mega Man 9 doesn't only go back to its 8-bit roots, it goes all the way back to 1988, paying homage to Mega Man 2. Gone is the slide from Mega Man 3, and gone is the charge shot from Mega Man 4. Now, it's no secret Mega Man 2 is held up to be the most beloved game in the series, considered by many to be the best, a masterpiece of game design. So many are sure to have quite the nostalgia trip going back to Mega Man 2's mechanics. From a lore perspective, the Buster downgrade doesn't make much sense, and for me personally, eliminating the slide runs the risk of oversimplifying the stages and the boss patterns, and to an extent, that is the case here. When it comes to the bosses, thankfully though, despite their simple patterns, they're all quite fresh and fun to fight against, and every shot from your Buster only knocks off a single energy pep. So your first time around, they might give you a decent challenge. As for the level designs and platforming, this is where Mega Man 9 shines. All the creative gimmicks more than make up for the lack of sliding. From the seesaw platforms of Jewel Man stage, to the portals of Galaxy Man stage, to the spinning batteries of Tornado Man stage. Then some of the sections of Wily's Castle make good use of your special weapons, such as the rising platforms requiring the Tornado Blow. Now, special weapons utilized in the platforming is something I always like to see. What's more is they make good use of Rush. Yes, your Robo-Buddy Rush makes a return. After all, it would be pretty stupid to go back to item 1, 2, and 3. And it's cool to see the sections that basically require you to use Rush Coil and Rush Jet instead of him always being optional or used to grab items. Not to get too off track, but more on that point, often in Mega Man titles they touch upon the use of special weapons and Rush abilities, but they rarely embellish on them, especially Rush. Well, I say let's have one entry where they go absolutely crazy with Rush, making him an integral part of the game. They can work in all the old tricks, including Rush Marine and that awesome Rush cycle in Mega Man 8. That said, they did a damn fine job here in Mega Man 9, and the same can be said with how they handled each stage gimmick, teaching the player what to do through nothing more than pure gameplay as they progress through each stage. More on those special weapons they're not only useful during the stages in Wily's castle, but can be incredibly useful during the Robot Master stages as well. In fact, these are some of the best special weapons in the entire series. The Tornado Blow will blow you away with how handy it is in dealing with pesky enemies as it clears the entire screen. The Jewel Satellite, I have a hard time pronouncing the word jewel, but the Jewel Satellite is the shining jewel of all the barrier shields, as it does not break upon impact, making it great for farming bolts for the shop. And there seems to be some areas that have exactly that in mind. My favorite of the 8 though is the Hornet Chaser, allowing you to send out little bees to fetch items or viciously swarm your enemies. It's the bee's knees. Real quick before moving on to discuss the presentation, as I mentioned, there is a shop here in Mega Man 9 for you to purchase them goods. You have the standard items you might expect, buddy calls for Eddie and Beat, and some neat, frivolous additions like changing Roll's outfit to the one she rolled with in Mega Man 8, or letting Mega Man rock with his hair out. Mega Man 9's presentation is a mixed bag. Good in some parts, average in others. There is something pure about Mega Man in his 8-bit form though, and they did a good job recapturing that magic here. Maybe a little too good when it comes to Mega Man 2, because what the overall visual presentation lacks is all the detail the later NES games had. Gone are the gorgeous backdrops, for instance, that you'd find in Mega Man 5 and 6, which pushed the NES to its limits. Mega Man 9, on the other hand, has a whole lot of black. The rest of the color palette is pretty interesting. Sometimes I like it, like the wild, deep purple tiger stripe look of Jewel Man stage. But the palette can be a bit all over the place. And some enemies, like these robot elephants, look like they were dipped in a bucket of Microsoft Paint. The Robot Masters themselves look great though. Solid designs for the most part. You have some standard designs like Concrete Man, and designs that will have you buzzing like Hornet Man. A couple of really on-the-nose ones I'm not a big fan of, like Plug Man. And we also have the first ever female Robot Master with Splash Woman, which is pretty neat. Quick side note though, I have to say, if you've ever seen the concept art for these Robot Masters, some of their earlier designs were even better. Like Galaxy Man with one of the sickest Robot Master designs I've ever seen. Hot damn. Some of these early concepts should not go to waste. As for the audio presentation, Capcom veteran Ippo Yamada composed the soundtrack, along with some new blood studying under him. And they killed it here. Some menus do have a track that's straight up pulled out of Mega Man 2, but the all new tunes recapture the catchy melodies Mega Man is known for as well. Now, while not bad, I want to point out the instrumentation does sound off to me, and they have a different pitch. Perhaps that comes with the territory of being a faux retro game. But again, it doesn't necessarily sound bad. There's just a different quality to it from back when they had to milk those sound chips for all they're worth. Sometimes limitations like that can be beneficial to the creative process, but make no mistake, this is a solid soundtrack, and I do love the compositions. In fact, I would highly recommend checking out the Mega Man 9 Arranged album. It's right up there with the best Mega Man soundtracks. Now it's time to talk about the story presentation. I saved the worst for last because the plot is the weakest link here in Mega Man 9. While in the grand scheme of things, it's not the biggest deal in the world for a Mega Man game to have a flimsy plot, since they are usually straightforward to begin with. However, that is all the more reason why it should be so easy to get it right. We start off in typical fashion, robots are wreaking havoc around the city, but this time, Wily points the finger at Dr. Light. And during a broadcast, Wily plays some spoofed footage that incriminates the good doctor. Now, not only is everyone in this world of Mega Man apparently a gullible dimwit, but they believe in Wily so much that they actually donate money to his fundraiser, in which he claims goes towards stopping Dr. Light's robots. So with Dr. Light behind bars, it's up to Mega Man to clear his name and put a stop to Wily's evil ambitions yet again. The Saturday morning cartoon tone is in full effect here, and for my taste, it's too lighthearted and too nonsensical for its own good. A far cry from what we got in Mega Man 7 and Mega Man 8. There's a few other things that don't really add up either. The game's Robot Masters were scheduled to be scrapped as they were reaching their expiration dates, and Wily convinced Light's robots to let him do repairs, which is of course why they went berserk. Yet Mega Man wonders why. I think it's pretty obvious at this point, not to mention being scrapped should be more than enough reason to begin with. In fact, if it were the only reason, and they went berserk on their own accord, without being modified by Wily, that would have been more interesting. The framing of Dr. Light is still ridiculous though, but to say one nice thing about Mega Man 9's plot, it's still better than the plot of Mega Man 10. Mega Man 9 overall is a fantastic entry in the series, and one that I enjoy going back to time and time again. It has just the right amount of challenge, especially during your first playthrough, and not much in the way of cheap difficulty, outside of one moment in Wily's castle. But speaking of challenges, the game also has a built-in achievement system to challenge yourself further, with things like beating the game without taking any damage. And while I always say a good Mega Man game on its own has infinite replay value, there is a slew of extra modes here to increase it even further. Firstly, there's Hero Mode, which adds additional enemies and alters some of the platforming gimmicks. So basically, this is Mega Man 9's take on Mega Man 2's difficult mode without the damage scaling. Super Hero Mode basically takes that even further, more enemies and more difficult platforming. Proto Man Mode. As the name implies, you get to play as everyone's favorite blues whistling robot, and he's equipped with the Proto Buster, giving you access to a charge shot, though I don't know why it sounds like a wet fart. And his Proto Shield. Proto Man takes twice as much damage as Mega Man and has recoil on his shots, and has no shop backing him up with supplies. He does, however, unlike Mega Man in this game, have the ability to slide, making it easier to dodge attacks. Endless Attack Mode. Here you play through an endless, but not really, Wily's fortress with randomly generated bosses, no extra lives, no supplies, and only your special weapons to back you up. A Time Attack Mode, which is self-explanatory. Last but not least, there is Special Stage Mode, a new challenging stage complete with mini-bosses and a new robot master to contend with, Fake Man, the officer that was seen arresting Dr. Light in the main game, and I kinda like him. Fake Man is pretty cool in my book, so expect a Metal Heroes episode on him in the future. And that's it for the additional modes, a lot of which came out as DLC back in the day, but is all packaged into the current collection, that is, Legacy Collection 2. So all in all, Mega Man 9 is one hell of a package, and the main game is a Mega Man that won't disappoint. Whether you're a die-hard fan, or someone more casual that just has a lot of nostalgia and really likes Mega Man 2. Either way, Mega Man 9 is for you. It's not without its faults, namely the throwaway plot, overdoing it with the black backgrounds, and inconsistent color palette, and I would have liked some original music for some of the menus, instead of over-relying on Mega Man 2 nostalgia. That said, Mega Man 9 gets enough right to be considered among the best in the series. Awesome, fresh and creative platforming gimmicks, useful and fun special weapons, a very cool looking roster of robot masters for the most part, and of course the ever so important kick-ass soundtrack, and plenty of content to keep you playing and coming back for more. Mega Man 9 is divine.